This story is not truly about the powerful. It's about the quiet conditioning of those who learned, through fear, shame, and manipulation, that silence was survival. The very instinct that once protected them, compliance, emotional restraint, reading every room before speaking, has become the invisible leash that keeps them small. 1. The high-impact hook and core paradox. You've probably met them, the ones who walk into a room and immediately make everyone else adjust. Their tone is calm, their words polite, yet somehow everyone bends. You find yourself agreeing, smiling, conforming, and afterward you wonder, why did I do that? But here's the uncomfortable truth. Power doesn't always shout. Sometimes it whispers. Sometimes it wears the mask of reason, charm, or kindness. Sometimes the most dangerous manipulation is the one that makes you feel grateful while you're being controlled. You might know this feeling too well. The quiet self-erasure. You've been in conversations where you sense you shouldn't disagree. You've been in relationships where peace meant silence. You've worked under someone whose approval felt like oxygen. And you learned the rule early: to be safe, stay small. This is the core paradox. The very instinct that once kept you safe from punishment or rejection is now the reason you feel invisible. The same silence that once protected you now imprisons you. The same sensitivity that helped you survive the moods of others has become your greatest weakness. You think you're being kind, cooperative, respectful, but deep down you're just trying not to be punished again. And powerful people, those who sense weakness like sharks sense blood, can smell that fear of disapproval. They don't need to raise their voice. They just need to withhold warmth. And so the cycle continues. You serve their ego in exchange for safety. You trade authenticity for approval, and they call it respect. 2. Definition and psychological authority. To understand this silent dynamic, we need to examine the psychology behind it. At its core, this is the trauma of learned powerlessness, a concept rooted in Martin Seligman's work on learned helplessness. When someone is repeatedly subjected to manipulation, criticism, or emotional control, they begin to believe they have no real agency, even when opportunities for freedom exist. The nervous system rewires itself for submission, not self-expression. Then there's fawning, a trauma response first described by therapist Pete Walker. It's the survival strategy of appeasement, when a person avoids conflict by pleasing, flattering, or surrendering to others. Unlike fight, flight, or freeze, fawning looks functional. It looks kind. But it's actually the body's attempt to stay safe in unsafe environments. And over time, the brain's default mode network, the part responsible for self-referential thought, starts looping around external validation. Your sense of self becomes externally constructed. You think in terms of others' expectations before your own desires even reach awareness. Finally, there's gaslighting internalization. You stop trusting your intuition because it has been constantly contradicted. You learn to second-guess yourself before anyone else can. The manipulator doesn't even have to work that hard anymore. You've become your own warden. So when a powerful person uses subtle tactics, emotional withdrawal, flattery, scarcity of approval, you respond automatically. You comply before they even ask, because your nervous system still believes power equals danger and submission equals safety. 3. The emotional cost and philosophical weight. This is where the true tragedy begins. To survive manipulation, you had to amputate parts of your identity. You stopped voicing opinions. You softened your tone. You minimized your successes. You apologized for existing too loudly. And while that made you safe, it also made you hollow. Carl Jung once said, "The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely. Because when you've been controlled, authenticity feels dangerous. It feels like rebellion." The emotional cost of being the agreeable one is not just burnout, it's spiritual erosion. You wake up one day realizing you don't know what you truly like, believe, or want. You've been performing harmony so long that silence feels like identity. You fear conflict, yet every time you avoid it, you reinforce your own invisibility. You crave respect, yet you offer deference. You want to be free, but your nervous system equates freedom with abandonment. It's a cruel paradox. The more empathy you have, the easier you are to manipulate. Because empathy without boundaries turns into servitude. Philosophically, this is the ancient tension between power and virtue. Nietzsche once warned of the slave morality, the internalization of powerlessness as virtue. We start to moralize our submission, calling it humility. We say, I'm just a good person. But what we really mean is, I've learned to survive by being small. And in that self-erasure, powerful people thrive. 4. Adult manifestation and the unlearning. You might be wondering, how does this look in adult life? You might find yourself over-apologizing even when you've done nothing wrong. You might avoid confrontation even when someone crosses a clear boundary. You might feel intense guilt for saying no, as if denying someone's request is cruelty. You might find yourself overperforming at work, constantly trying to prove your worth to authority figures who never seem satisfied. You might attract emotionally dominant partners, people who subtly demand control while calling it love. You might experience decision paralysis, always needing reassurance before making choices. And underneath it all, you carry a quiet, exhausting self-surveillance. You analyze every text you send. You rehearse conversations in your head before speaking. You smile even when you're angry. You manage others' emotions before acknowledging your own. These are not personality traits. They are coping strategies dressed as virtues. They are trauma responses polished by social approval. Unlearning begins with witnessing. You must first recognize the manipulation, both external and internal. You must admit how often you silence yourself before anyone else can. You might ask, why do I keep attracting powerful people who take advantage of me? The truth is, your nervous system feels at home around them. You mistake familiarity for connection. Your body is still trying to finish a story that began long ago, with someone who taught you that love must be earned through obedience. And until that wound is seen, you will keep mistaking dominance for stability. The antidote is not rebellion, it's self-trust. 5. The healing, conclusion, and affirmation. Healing from this pattern doesn't begin with learning how to fight back. It begins with learning how to believe yourself again. The work is quiet. It's sitting with the tension of guilt when you set a boundary. It's learning that you can disappoint someone and still be a good person. It's realizing that your empathy was never the problem, your self-abandonment was. Therapeutically, this is called inner reparenting, teaching your nervous system that safety can coexist with authenticity, that you no longer need to shrink to be loved. Shadow work teaches you to face the parts of you that crave control or approval and meet them with understanding, not shame. Because shame is what keeps the cycle alive. And eventually, through small acts of self-honoring, saying no, speaking truth, choosing rest, you begin to reclaim power. Not the kind that dominates, but the kind that stands unmoved. There's a quote by psychologist Carl Rogers that captures this perfectly. The curious paradox is that when I accept myself just as I am, then I can change. That's the paradox of true power. It doesn't come from controlling others. It comes from no longer being controlled by fear. So the next time you feel that subtle pull to please, pause. Feel the weight of silence pressing on your tongue. Notice how your body prepares to fold. And then, quietly, remind yourself, you are not here to be controlled. You are here to be conscious. And that is the most silent form of power there is. If this message resonated with you, share it. Someone else out there has been mistaking obedience for love, and they need to hear this truth too. Subscribe, not for me, but for the version of you that's learning to stand tall again. Because real strength isn't loud. It's simply no longer afraid to be seen.